Something devastating is happening to American workers, and most of us are funding it every time we order takeout. Alejandro drives for Uber in Houston. He has diabetes. He can't afford insulin. Not because he doesn't work. He drives until 4 in the morning, chasing surge prices that vanish the moment he arrives. Some hours he makes $20. Other hours, 2. The algorithm decides, and the algorithm knows exactly how desperate he is. He's pawned his computer, his camera, everything he once valued just to keep his car running so he can keep earning those $2 hours. I'm emotionally drained, he says. It's just a constant cycle. Uber made $9.8 billion in profit last year. This isn't a glitch in the system. This is the system working exactly as designed. And it's about to get much, much worse. 5 months ago, Human Rights Watch released a 155-page investigation into gig economy exploitation that should have been front-page news everywhere. They surveyed 127 platform workers in Texas and interviewed 95 workers across 13 states. What they found wasn't just wage theft, it was algorithmic poverty engineering on a scale we've never seen before. The median gig worker in America now earns $5.12 per hour after expenses. That's 30% below the federal minimum wage, which hasn't been raised since 2009. It's 70% below what a single adult needs to survive. The number of Americans who've worked gig jobs, 16%. The percentage who depend on it as their primary income, 31. The amount DoorDash's market cap increased last year while paying drivers below minimum wage, over 50%. We're watching the largest wage theft in American history happen in broad daylight, and we're calling it innovation. Isabel worked for Shipt in Houston, shopping groceries for people who couldn't or wouldn't shop for themselves. She was good at it, earning $575 a week, enough to pay rent, keep her car running, feed her family. Then one customer gave her a 1-star rating because the store was out of their favorite yogurt. The algorithm didn't care that Isabel had no control over inventory. Her weekly income dropped to $350 overnight, a 40% cut that pushed her behind on car payments, utilities, rent. The algorithm had decided she was a bad worker based on missing yogurt, and there was no human to appeal to, no manager to explain the situation to, just code making decisions about whether her family would eat that week. This is happening to millions of workers across 7 major platforms: Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart, Amazon Flex, Shipt, and Favor. These aren't struggling startups burning venture capital. Uber controls 76% of the rideshare market, with a $169 billion market cap. DoorDash dominates 67% of food delivery, with over $10 billion in revenue. They've moved past growth at all costs into profit maximization, and they're maximizing those profits by systematically impoverishing the workers who create their value. Julia was carjacked during an Amazon Flex delivery route in October 2020. A man held a gun to her head, took her car, left her traumatized on a dark street. Amazon's response? No paid time off, no medical support, no therapy assistance. She could return to work immediately or lose her income. The algorithm doesn't recognize trauma. It only recognizes completed deliveries. The genius of this system, if you can call systematic exploitation genius, is how it hides wage theft behind the language of flexibility and entrepreneurship. These companies don't cut wages, they adjust algorithms. They don't fire workers, they deactivate accounts. They don't exploit desperation, they dynamically price based on market conditions. It's corporate euphemism as labor abuse, and it works because we've been trained to see algorithms as neutral, mathematical, inevitable. But algorithms aren't neutral. They're weapons aimed at workers' economic security, and these companies know exactly what they're doing. In February 2022, Uber introduced something called upfront fares. Before this, drivers knew they'd earn a certain amount per mile and per minute. Simple, transparent, predictable. Upfront fares replaced this with an algorithm that calculates the minimum amount each individual driver will accept for each individual ride. The same trip from the airport to downtown might pay one driver $25 and another driver $15, based on which one the algorithm determines is more desperate. If you've been rejecting rides, the algorithm might offer you more. If you accept 95% of rides, the algorithm knows you'll take anything, so it offers you less. It's not surge pricing, it's surgical exploitation, personalized to extract maximum labor at minimum cost. Veena Dubal, a law professor at UC Berkeley who's been studying gig work for years, calls this algorithmic gamblification. The platforms have literally turned work into a rigged casino. Quest bonuses promise $50 extra for completing 10 rides between 5 and 9 p.m. Drivers rush to hit the target, accepting rides that pay $3 each, losing money on gas and vehicle wear because they're chasing the bonus. But here's what workers don't realize. The algorithm lowers base pay during quest periods. The bonus doesn't increase earnings, it just maintains them while tricking drivers into accepting unprofitable work. The house always wins. 40% of gig workers' time is spent waiting between jobs, unpaid. 46 to 70% of their remuneration gets eaten by expenses, gas, insurance, vehicle maintenance, phone bills. When you factor in these costs, that $15 delivery fee becomes $5 in actual income. That $25 airport ride becomes $8. The platforms know this math. They have teams of data scientists calculating exactly how much drivers spend versus earn. They price accordingly, maintaining earnings just barely above the point where workers would quit en masse. The surveillance infrastructure behind this exploitation would make Orwell's telescreen look primitive. These apps track everything: your location every second you're logged in, your acceptance rate, your rejection rate, the speed at which you accept offers, how often you take breaks, which hours you work, which neighborhoods you avoid, how fast you drive, how hard you brake, whether you're using other gig apps simultaneously. All this data feeds into machine learning models that build profiles of each worker's financial desperation, alternatives, and breaking points. You're not a driver or a shopper. You're a collection of behavioral patterns being continuously optimized for exploitation. The scale of this wealth transfer is staggering. In Texas alone, just one state, over just 2 years, platform companies avoided paying $111 million in unemployment insurance contributions by misclassifying workers as contractors. Nationally, we're talking about tens of billions in avoided payroll taxes, Social Security contributions, Medicare payments, workers' compensation, and unemployment insurance. This isn't just wage theft from workers. It's tax theft from all of us, defunding the social safety net while these companies accumulate $100 billion valuations. The International Labor Organization held debates on a binding treaty for platform work at its June 2025 conference. The European Union is implementing algorithmic transparency requirements. China, not exactly known for worker protections, is cracking down on delivery platform exploitation. The U.S. is becoming a global outlier in allowing algorithmic wage theft to flourish unchecked. Here's what the platforms don't want you to understand. This isn't about technology. The technology is neutral. It could just as easily be programmed to ensure living wages, safe working conditions, fair treatment. This is about power. It's about creating a class of workers so atomized, surveilled, and desperate that they'll accept whatever crumbs the algorithm throws them. It's about normalizing sub-minimum wages before expanding this model to other industries. Because that's where this is headed. The gig economy market was worth over $550 billion in 2024. It's projected to reach $1.8 trillion by 2032. Every quarter these platforms operate without regulation, they accumulate more data, refine their exploitation algorithms, and cement their market dominance. Every day we wait, more workers like Alejandro ration insulin, more workers like Isabel lose their homes, more workers like Julia face danger without support, more workers like Deborah choose between shelter and survival. The solution isn't to stop using these services. That would only hurt workers more. The solution is to demand what Massachusetts achieved: living wages, transparent algorithms, real benefits. The question isn't whether change is possible. It's whether we'll demand it before algorithmic poverty becomes the new American normal. The platforms are betting we won't. They're betting we value convenience over conscience, that we'll accept their framing of exploitation as innovation, that will let them build a future where algorithms decide who deserves a living wage and who doesn't. They've been winning that bet for a decade. It's time to call their bluff.